Hey folks, Jeff here at Back Country. Appreciate y'all stopping by the channel today. Well, I tell you what, when you're in the country, springtime just kind of screams at you. There's so much beauty and new growth and life that you just want to get involved in all that. And well, if you've been following along, you know that I've been planting strawberries and blueberries and been taking care of them, and they're actually looking pretty good. Let me show you. So this mound here are the quinaults and a few chandlers, and there are 41 plants on this mound, which means we had 100% survival rate or growth rate or whatever based on the ones that sent us. Got some ants there making a little mound in my mound. I got to get rid of them damn things. And then over here we've got Ozark Beauties. We've got 30 here, and I had two that I didn't think was going to make it. This one here and this one here. They were just crowns, and in the last week they've come to life, and they both have leaves coming out now, so I think they're gonna make it. So that gave us 30, which also was 100% survival rate. So that's Ozark Beauty, and those were quinaults and chandlers. Over here we've got our Eversweets, and we had 100% on those as well. And then there's a few chandlers mixed in along here. So I think we're, I don't know, close to 100% on the chandlers. And unfortunately the Seascapes, which are supposed to be really good, I guess they were just bad from the supplier we got them from, because they're horrible. I mean, we had out of, like, I don't remember, 26, 28 plants, only 4 have survived, and the 4 that have survived are just kind of pitiful. So there's one over there. That's probably the best one. I'll go over there and show it to you. Here's one here. Not so good. Here's another one. This one is definitely the most pitiful. That one. And that one. Now this dirt is the same dirt as all these other plants are growing in. And just what a difference. They're pitiful. So I don't know what happened with that group of Seascapes. Maybe I'll buy them again in the future and try over with a different supplier, but man, those were horrible, and I did give them a bad review on Amazon as well. This plant here is a box store. Got it at the Walmarts. It's Tiff Blue, and it was almost dead, but we brought it back to life, and it's coming along nicely. But remember, these had such pitiful root systems that they really need a lot of care to bring them along, and they're definitely going to be a year or two before they're strong and healthy. This one here is doing very well. All the ones that we initially planted are coming along nicely. That one's looking good. That one's looking good. And this one originally was one of the most pitiful, but man, it's come along great. It bloomed right out of the gate. You can see we've got 4 blueberries on it there that are looking good. Now I know it's a new plant, and technically I should probably pluck all those off and let the plant put all its energy into making roots and growing, but I just can't bring myself to kill them. So we'll just take care of the plant and it'll grow the way it grows. And then this one over here is the one that we got from Amazon, and it's looking really good. You know, it did go through some, I don't know if we'll call it transplant, I forget the word for it. It's what happens when you get old. You just start forgetting words and stuff when you need them. Shock. Shock was the word I was looking for. I was in shock. Apparently couldn't find the word. But it came to me, so I'm not totally gone yet. But you know, like you see here, this branch broke, so I'm just going to take that off, because there ain't no point in leaving it on there. And you can see, like, so this shoot here, it's got some new growth on it, so it's not bad, but a lot of this stuff just dried up, and that's fine. I'm gonna, like I say, chalk that up to either transplant shock or just the shock of being in the mail or whatever. Could be that because I scratched the roots, you know, when I planted it. That could have been part of the problem. But a lot of that dried up. Not worried about it. It's got a lot of berries on it. Again, I should probably pluck them off, but I can't bring myself to do it. So we're just gonna take care of it the best we can and let it go. We will start feeding them here pretty soon. Anyway, I've got a few more to plant still, so I took my spare pile and made it into a mound, and then I made a mound over there, but that dirt is different dirt. It had a lot of sand in it, but I see it also has a lot of clay in it, so I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but we're going to give it a try and see what happens. So anyway, I was talking about the call to spring. You know, we've got everything blooming. There's flowers all along. The blackberries and dewberries are coming along like crazy. The muscadine grapes are starting to bloom. I mean, everything is in bloom, and it just makes you want to grow stuff. And, you know, taking care of these berries and everything, it's like, well, I'm watering and doing all that. Man, I feel like I need a garden. I know I'm way behind the power curve, but man, I want a garden. So I think what I'm gonna do, I got this big patch. It's really a mess. They're muscadine grapes, but they've never produced anything. I don't know if it's because of the amount of sun they get here or what, but they've been here several years. I've kind of left them alone to see if they would produce. Now these are the wild variety, and I gotta be honest, I don't even like them. The skin is tough and leathery. I mean, the flavor's okay. They kind of have a stinky smell to them though. They make great jams and jellies, I'll say that. But just as a eating table grape, nah, not for me. And they have seeds, of course, as well, so I just don't care much for them. I would like to find some varieties of muscadine that are good table grapes. Eventually, I hope to find some. But here we can see, you know, like, if we look right here, you know, that's a little bloom coming along there. So you see a very few in this whole patch, but they'll never amount to anything. And then there's some mix of berries in there. So it looks like mostly dewberry. And so, yeah, I think I'm going to take all this out. Now here's a bunch of, you know, blooms coming along in here. See all that? Little things coming along. So there's some in there, but again, like I say, they've never produced. So I'm going to take this out. I'm going to bring my forestry trimmer over, and I'm going to start trimming this out. And then I'm going to take the dozer and I'm going to drive it over here, and I'm just going to rip this soil here. And then I'm going to probably bring the rototiller and till an area, see what the ground looks like. I mean, if I look up here where the ground is bare, it's not good looking soil, that's for darn sure. I don't know if I dozed over this before, I really can't remember. So, but I don't see where I like pushed soil, so I mean, I'm guessing it's still the original topsoil here. So maybe I pushed some back there, I can't tell. Regardless, I'm gonna have to do something to the soil, so maybe I'll go to town and see if I can find a truckload of compost, put that in there, and then I'm just gonna plant a little garden. Not a big garden, just a little garden, just because I have that country urge to grow something, to grow some food that I can eat. And this happens in the springtime every year. You get the call to grow stuff. And then you go to the box stores and they got all them plants, and you get suckered into buying all them plants. And so yesterday I was in town, and yeah, I bought some plants. Just random stuff, mostly tomatoes, because I gotta tell you, if you've never grown a garden, in my opinion, I mean, the number one thing that you can grow is tomatoes, because there is just such a huge difference when you pick a tomato ripe off the vine and you eat it. The difference in how that tastes versus a ripe one from the store. Even those vine ripe ones in the store, they're still cut before they're ripe. They just leave them on the vine to make them look better, I guess. I don't know. I guess some of them taste better, but there's still no comparison to ones you grow in your own garden. There's just no comparison to an actual vine ripened tomato. So I bought a bunch of tomatoes, and then I just randomly looked at other plants they had, and I bought some other stuff. Usually I would plant my own squash, zucchini, stuff like that, but they had some plants. I bought a few. I bought some jalapenos. I might have bought a serrano too, I can't remember. Basically, you know, a little salsa garden. Don't have any onions, don't have any cilantro, but I can get that stuff at the store if I need it. I just wanted to make a little garden and grow something, and we'll see what it evolves to. But that's where we're at. Stick with us, let's see how it goes. I got a lot of cleanup to do. Okay, I definitely need to rethink my approach here. So while this thing doesn't have any problem cutting, the problem is that the vines of these grapes are all running along the ground. So when you sweep your cutter, I'm basically just cutting above them, and then the vines are just grabbing the shaft and getting in the way, and yeah, it's just not a very good layout for cutting with a trimmer. So definitely gonna have to rethink this. I'm all about smarter, not harder. So stick with me and let's see what I do about this. But I think I'm gonna push the easy button. Well, our goal was to hit the easy button and get this cleared, and I think we achieved that goal. That definitely was way easier than trying to trim those grapevines out. I had no idea how thick and wound up those things were. So I figured it out. Sometimes you just got to take the long road around. Now I used the ripper to mainly like a root rake. I wanted to pull roots out and everything, but it's basically a chisel plow. Kind of didn't make mounds and stuff, but rips down through the soil. Now we can see up on this end, we've got a lot more clay and less topsoil. So, I mean, look at that. The ripper went down into the clay. Got that red clay with just a little bit of topsoil on top. Do see some greenbrier roots that I want to get out of here. Those things are horrible. So I'll try to go through here, clean up these roots best I can, pull them out, try to get all them greenbriers out of there. And then I'm going to, I think I'm going to get a load of compost. Hopefully I can find some. We've got a Trendsetter recycling place. I don't know if they have compost or not, but I'm going to go check. And dump a load of compost on top of this. You can see this hill drops off quite steep. I'm not going to plant down the hill. I'm mainly just going to plant up here on top. But definitely going to need some more soil up on this end because the clay is so close to the top. But down here, man, I'm actually surprised at this soil. Now I can see the clay too. It's a little bit deeper. There's a lot of sand. Of course, our soil is sandy loam. But you can see on top that there's like this black, rich soil. I mean, look at that stuff. And so that's just, you know, organics from, you can see like leaves and everything over there. That was underneath the vines. And, you know, every year those leaves and everything fall off. And they were just composting and creating a rich soil there. So, hopefully, I mean, I don't know how much of this I'm going to plant. I don't think I'm going to plant this entire area. I want a small garden. This is mainly just because, gosh, I feel like I got to grow something. But at the same time, I kind of like to see what some of this soil does. We'll amend it a little bit. But overall, you know, I think maybe I won't plant up there where that clay is. Maybe I'll just drop the compost down on this lower end and create a nice garden area in here. That should be plenty big. We can always grow in the future, but this year, this is just kind of a test. It's the first time we've really grown anything here, and I just want to see how it goes. And like I say, spring is calling me. So anyway, that's where we're at. Stick with us. Let's see how it goes. Well, folks, this is how it goes with me. So I bought this rototiller back in, gosh, early 90s. I used it on a garden when I lived out in West Texas. And, you know, after military assignments, etc., it went into storage. And then it sat in my yard. And, you know, we moved around a bit. In and out of storage, in and out of sitting in the yard, whatever. I used it again in, I don't know, probably somewhere around 2004. And then it went back to sitting again until I moved it up here. So I decided, okay, well, it's time to get this thing running and go to work. So, you know, I just started with the basics. Was the motor seized? Nope, the motor was good. It turned over. But the recoil had an issue. So I pulled the cover off, and basically the recoil spring had broken. I was able to get in, take it apart, bend the end, and reattach it, rewind it, and now it works. So I repaired that. Checked the spark plug, cleaned it up a bit, basically took a wire brush to the magneto and everything, cleaned all that up. I got fire. So that's good. Checked the oil, added some oil to it. That's all good. Turns over. And let's see, another thing that happened. So this here is basically the clutch. It's the drive, pulley, whatever. So you pull this lever and it's got this cable. And it basically raises this wheel to put pressure on the belt. And that's how it winds the transmission to make it go. because both the wheels drive and the tines turn. So I mean, for a cheap rototiller, it's actually a pretty good tiller. Anyway, so I went to pull that cable. The cable was seized up. The mount broke. So this is a little plastic mount that the cable attaches into, and then it goes here and bolts on, and that broke. Luckily I was able to order one, and they actually delivered it overnight. So I mean, that was quick. And anyway, I greased the cable, and so it works fine now. Does what it's supposed to do, so that's good. And so then I guess it was time to fire it up, try to start it. So I sprayed some starting fluid in it, gave it a few yanks. It wouldn't start. And then I determined that one of the float, I don't know what you'd call this on the carburetor, but this was seized up right here, so it wasn't letting any, fuel, even spraying the carburetor or the starter fluid in there, it wasn't letting it in. So I freed that up, then I sprayed it, and I got it to fire over, but it would, it'd run, and then it would run out of fuel and it would die again. So I put fuel in the tank and tried again, and nope, never could get it to run. So I started tearing into this carburetor, and basically what I determined, so this here I believe is like the fuel pump or whatever. It's a little diaphragm deal. This little thing right here, and then it's got a spring and everything that vibrates it, and that's how it kind of brings fuel up from the pump. But it's, just hard as rock, so it doesn't have any vibration to it to suck the fuel up to pump it. And who knows what else is wrong with this carburetor. I mean, there ain't really much to it, but bottom line is it needs a complete rebuild kit. So I went online, and it's as much for a rebuild kit as it is for a aftermarket carburetor. So I just ordered a carburetor kit, which came with new air filters and everything, which I also needed. So now we wait for that to be delivered the next couple days. So again, setbacks. But this is how it goes with me. Now, part of it, yeah, this thing's old. It's sat out in the weather, and so a lot of it has dry rotted. As soon as I run it, who knows how well this belt's gonna hold up. The good news is that I always keep a spare belt, so I've got a spare. And I had to order some new plastics for this little breather. These things are both broke, so ordered some new little breather connectors there, and new carburetor, new spark plug, and new filters, air filters. And hopefully when we put this back together, that'll get us running and we'll be good to go. Of course, these tires are all dry rotted out, but I put tubes in them several years ago because the same problem existed. They wouldn't hold air, and so I put tubes in them, and so they're holding air. I aired them up, and they're holding air, both of them, even though them tires are dry rotted out pretty good. But that's where we're at. I'd like to get this thing running and till that garden area up. Of course, still got to go get some compost and everything. I want to till it and then dump compost on it, and then till the compost in again before I start putting plants in the ground. So I just keep adding days to this project, but yeah, that's how it goes. Anyway, that's where we're at. Stick with us. Let's see how it goes. So here's the plants I bought at the box store waiting to be planted, and they're looking pretty good. I watered them and everything, gave them a little Miracle Grow just to feed them a little bit. So what we've got here, this one is a crookneck yellow squash, crookneck squash. This is a golden zucchini. You can see it needs to be planted, man. These things are been in these planters long enough. These are both Noce green zucchinis. This here is a serrano pepper, and these two are gigante jalapeno peppers. And then all of these are different tomatoes. I got 3 6-packs of probably some hybrids, and like got Big Boy, Better Boy, and Early Girl. And then this is a heirloom variety, which is a Tomatillo heirloom. So tomatillos. So if you can't figure that out, what I got going there, it's basically a little bit of a salsa garden. Now I'll still need some cilantro and onion, but we can take care of that. And then I picked up these 2 trees here. These are dwarf mulberries, and I've been wanting to plant some mulberries. Haven't found any growing wild on the property, so I'll introduce them. And I just got to figure out where I'm going to put them, but found those at Lowe's, and I've been looking for mulberries or wanting mulberries, so I figured why not, and I bought a couple of them. Now, like I said, I just got to figure out where I'm going to put them. But who don't like fresh mulberries? And then this one here, this is a Climax blueberry that I had bought, and it was barely alive. Got it at Walmart. You know, the root system was just underdeveloped, and I've just been babying it, and well, it's looking pretty good. Looking pretty good. It's come fully to life, and it's growing, looking good. These are some little plants Lorena planted, some carnations, I believe, so I'm taking care of those for her. And that's all my plants for now. Of course, I'll buy some seeds, probably plant some beets and turnips, whatever else. Just kind of catches my eye whenever I go look at seeds. So let me take you back up to the garden area and show you where I'm at on that. So here's the garden area. I brought the dozer up here and did some more ripping. Just came back and forth ripping different directions on it, really trying to, you know, dig more roots out. And I've got a lot of the roots and picked up some rocks and whatnot. Now when you look up to the top there, you see it's heavy in the clay. Not much topsoil up there. I may have scraped that before when I was working up here. I don't really recall, but I'm not sure I'm going to plant anything up in that clay area. Mainly going to dump compost down in here, and it'll be a small garden. I'm not looking to do anything giant. Just something to get some fresh vegetables that I know how they were grown. So, but man, you want to talk about roots? Here's one of my piles. And so my arch nemesis right here, that's a greenbrier bulb. All of these are. Look at this one. This sucker's huge. That is a greenbrier bulb. So these things are so invasive. I mean, they just grow and grow. They grow these huge bulbs underground and shoot roots out all over the place. And then they grow and they grow up into your trees, and they will literally choke a tree out. Trying to see if I got any climbing up any of these trees here. So this one looks like it was full of grapes. So I took out tons of grapevines, and yeah, I'm just seeing grapes up in that tree. Hard to say. I mean, this here's some greenbrier. So there's greenbrier mixed in there. I mean, you see them stalks coming out of the top of those grapes up there. Those are greenbriers. They just shoot up and they'll literally cover a tree and choke it and kill it. And so in the end, basically the tree dies because it can't even get any sun or anything. It's so covered in that greenbrier. I hate that stuff. It's got thorns, and like I say, it just spreads everywhere, extremely invasive. I consider it my arch nemesis. Lorena don't like it either. As a matter of fact, my common term for it is pendejo vine. So that's a term of endearment, right? Anyway, running that ripper, I drag this, so there's a bunch of roots still in here that I haven't pulled out, and you can see these big greenbrier root there, but it's so heavy and buried in this soil, I gotta literally dig it out just to get it out of the pile there. Hard, heavy stuff with thorns, and yeah, just terrible. Don't like it at all. But anyway, that's where I'm at on this garden. Kind of been doing a little work in here before the sun comes out and it gets too hot. But hopefully once I get that tiller going, then I'll till all this up again. I mean, I've ripped it a few times now with the ripper, which is basically like running a little chisel plow through there. And that's kind of pulled out rocks and the roots. And so then I'll run the tiller through there, and then I'll bring in a load or two of, we'll see how far it goes, 5 or 6 yards a load of compost. Dump that on here and spread it out until that end, see how far that goes, and then we'll get some plants in the ground. So I don't know how big or how much of this I'm going to use. At least this strip here I'll use. Whether I come up into this or not on the hillside here, I don't know. It's just going to kind of take it as it goes and put it together, see how far the compost goes, and just go from there. At a minimum, we'll get all them tomatoes and everything in the ground, and then, just do a few rows of other stuff. Like I say, off the top of my head, I'd like to plant some beets and some turnips, maybe some radishes, just stuff I can kind of snack on or eat, Gonna have some squash and zucchini. I love that stuff, and of course tomatoes and peppers. So hopefully this will go well. This is the first time I've ever tried to do a garden up here. So, but I figure I'm taking care of them strawberries and everything already, so I might as well take care of some other plants too. And of course Lorena don't know about any of this. This will all be a surprise to her. But I always get sidetracked on little projects when I got big projects to do too. But man's gotta eat.